Chilo Nidong Nishanga Le Dao Chube, Seba Sumda Shije Ninda Nigrinla, Nihongi Gesa Tokyo na Tenshi Chebe, Nihon Treso Ome, Soga Shignala, Geji Treso to me Pedon Gabyo Sochen, Tengubate Ganguredo. Teng Di Sochen Tola, Gekap Ka Nishu Subdune, Treso to me the Pedon Gabyo was so, Musutan Shin Tage Tone, Henshu Nankin, Kun Midang, Gada Shiju Yemeshi do. Geji 최소 투미 표준 겹교 소신 탱구바 대신 표미만 지도 현소다 영어 최소의 표준 겹교 소반이 송제 돈에 구리는도
I'm Congressman Michael McCall, Chairman Emeritus of the House Foreign Affairs Committee in the United States Congress, and an unwavering friend of the Tibetan people. It's really an honor to speak to you today, and I'm moved that so many global leaders have gathered to support the Tibetan people's quest for their freedom. Last year, I had the privilege of leading a bipartisan congressional delegation to Dharamshala, India, where we met with His Holiness, the Dalai Lama. As you know, nearly 66 years ago, the CCP annexed Tibet and slaughtered tens of thousands of innocent Tibetans and monks. To save his people, His Holiness led thousands of Tibetans on a perilous journey through the Himalayas, reaching safety in India. These brave souls left everything behind with the hope of preserving their way of life. Despite facing so much persecution and violence at the hands of the CCP, His Holiness has maintained inner peace and continues to preach compassion, something we could all learn from. He reminds us that even if the CCP takes your land, they cannot take away your culture or your spirit. And they cannot take away what the Tibetan people mean to the rest of the world. Still, the CCP's continued oppression against Tibet cannot stand. For years, I've fought against their tyranny and stood up for the people of Tibet. And last year, Congress passed my bill, the Promoting a Resolution to the Tibet-China Dispute Act. This bill makes clear that the United States believes Tibet has a right to its own unique language, religion, culture, and self-determination. It also strongly condemns CCP propaganda that pushes fake narratives about Tibet, like the claim that, quote, Tibet has been part of China since ancient times, end of quote. And it also requires that the State Department aggressively challenge those false narratives around the world. In my private meeting with His Holiness, I presented him with the wind chimes that play the song, America the Beautiful. Just as wind is not always seen, it is powerfully felt. And I told him the United States will always be a strong force standing behind the Tibetan people. His Holiness is filled with compassion I've seen in the eyes of Tibetans living in exile around the world. And I'm proud to advocate for Tibetans in the United States Congress. I will continue to stand with you until the Dalai Lama and his people can return to their homeland in peace. So let me say thank you, and let me close by saying Tuje Che.
Hello. As Speaker Emerita of the United States House of Representatives, it is my privilege to address the 9th World Parliamentary Convention on Tibet and join such esteemed parliamentarians and society leaders and defenders of human rights. Let me begin by expressing my deep gratitude to the Speaker and Deputy Speaker of the Tibetan Parliament in exile and to our friends in the Japanese Parliamentary Support Group for Tibet for convening this essential gathering. It is a special privilege to once again stand in solidarity with the brave people of Tibet and to reaffirm our shared commitment to justice, democracy, and dignity. On behalf of the many friends in the U.S. Congress, let me also thank Sikong Penpa Tsering for his recent visit to Washington. When we passed the Resolve Tibet Act in 2024, it was in large measure because of the outside mobilization for which he was largely responsible. I was honored to meet with him during his time in the United States. His voice continues to be a moral compass in the world too often clouded by complacency. From Tibet to Hong Kong and from the Uyghur region to southern Mongolia, the Chinese Communist Party continues to its campaign of repression and cultural erasure. But in the face of such oppression, the courage of the Tibetan people shines as a beacon to the world. As parliamentarians, we carry special responsibility. We are the elected representatives of free people, and with that freedom comes a duty to speak out against tyranny. We must call out the Chinese government's human rights abuse in Tibet, demand accountability, and ensure our own governments are not complicit. If we do not speak out against Chinese human rights violations due to commercial interest, then we lose all moral authority to call out any nation's human rights abuses. Let me be clear. The PRC's occupation of Tibet is illegal. It must never be legitimized. Tibetans have the inalienable right to self-determination, rooted in international law and grounded in truth. Legislators around the world must affirm that right, pass legislation to reflect that reality, and ensure their governments recognize Tibet as an occupied land, not a province of China. And we must be unequivocal in our rejection of the CCP's outrageous claim that it can select the next Dalai Lama. That right belongs only to the Tibetan people and their spiritual leaders. For Beijing to interfere is not only an act of religious persecution, it's an assault on freedom of conscience everywhere. If the Chinese Communist Party can dictate who leads a major world religion, then no faith is safe from authoritarian control. We must also challenge the PRC's revisionist history, the false narrative that Tibet has always been a part of China. This lie is used to justify oppression. By defending the historical truth, we protect not just Tibet's rightful status, we defend the integrity of our international norms and the principle that truth matters. Today, we stand at a global crossroads between democracy and autocracy, between human rights and repression. The Tibetan people remind us what it means to choose peace, dignity, and dialogue in the face of violence and injustice. Together, as parliamentarians, we must deepen our ties with the Tibetan parliament in exile, collaborate across borders, and raise our collective voices louder and stronger, because the cause of Tibet is the cause of freedom itself. Thank you, and best wishes for a successful conference.